UH Movie Recaps presents The Silence of the Lambs. The movie opens with Agent Clarice Starling, a young FBI agent, being called into the office of Director Crawford. She arrives and waits in his office for him to arrive while looking over crime photos from a recent investigation of a serial killer named Buffalo Bill. Crawford arrives and he tells Clarice that he picked her to go on an errand. They are interviewing all the serial killers in custody for a behavioral profile, and he wants her to go and interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a serial killer otherwise known as Hannibal the Cannibal. She goes to the place where Hannibal is kept. She meets with the head doctor of the facility, Dr. Chilton, a rather slimy man. As she walks down the hallway to meet Lecter, a patient named Miggs in another cell says something vulgar to her, but she keeps going. She finally reaches the spot and meets the man himself. Dr. Hannibal Lecter is unnervingly quiet, with an austere demeanor and unblinking eyes. He is surprised to see that Jack Crawford sent a student to him instead of a full-fledged FBI agent. Starling holds her own, but Hannibal sees right through her and manages to rattle her. As she is leaving, Miggs throws something disgusting at her, and Hannibal yells for her to come back. He gives her a clue as to where she can get some information. She leaves, and in her shock and grief, she flashes back to a memory of her father coming home from work. When she returns to the academy, she does some research into Hannibal to better understand who she's dealing with. She gets a call, and it is from Crawford. He tells her that the inmate, Miggs, next to Hannibal, was found dead. The orderly heard Hannibal whispering to him all afternoon, and at night they found Miggs dead, having swallowed his own tongue. Starling goes to a, quote, your self-storage facility, investigating the clue that Lecter gave her, and finds a jar with a human head in it. The face has a woman's makeup on it. She goes to see Lecter again and tells him what she found and that she figured out his enigmatic clue. He tells her that he did not kill that patient, but only kept him the way Lecter had found him. She asks if the victim was a transvestite, but Lecter says no. He says he was just a fledgling killer's first attempt at transformation. Furthermore, he also tells Clarice that he can help her catch Buffalo Bill if she gets him the case file. He says that he wants to be transferred to another institution, one where he can have a view, and in exchange, he will make a criminal profile of Buffalo Bill. A young woman drives down a road and arrives at her apartment. A man is watching her through night vision goggles. She gets out, grabs her groceries, and sees a man trying to move a couch into his van, but he is having trouble because he has a broken arm. She offers to help, and the man asks her if she is a size 14. She's confused, and the man attacks her, knocking her out. Clarice is pulled from training to accompany Crawford to a body that has been found. He says that she is the first girl that was killed by Buffalo Bill, but the third one found because Buffalo Bill, for some reason, weighted her down in the water. During the trip, Clarice realizes that Crawford sent her in to see Lecter specifically to get his help on the Buffalo Bill case, without letting her know. Crawford tells her that, yes, it is true, but if he had told her, Lecter would have seen right through it and not cooperated with the investigation. During the investigation of the body, they find 2 diamond-shaped areas on her back where her skin was removed, and that something had been shoved into her throat. They remove it and find that it is a bug cocoon. Clarice gets it identified by some experts and finds that it is a death's head moth and is very rare. We find ourselves in the lair of Buffalo Bill, and see that the young woman that was driving her car is being kept in an empty well. Clarice watches the news and sees that the young woman is named Catherine Martin, and that she is the daughter of U.S. Senator Ruth Martin. Clarice returns to meet Dr. Lecter, and Dr. Chilton complains to her that they are not keeping him in the loop about what she and Lecter are talking about. He realizes that he can do nothing, so he lets her go and she goes to see Lecter. Clarice brings with her a transfer offer for Lecter, which will get him away from the place he is now and move to another maximum security facility where he will have a view, access to books, and 1 week a year he will be able to go to an island and walk on the beach under SWAT team surveillance. If Catherine dies, the offer will be canceled. Lecter agrees, but also wants information from Clarice. He says he will tell her things about the case, and she will tell him things about her personal life. She agrees, and they begin. Lecter asks Clarice where her worst memory of childhood is, and she tells him that it was the death of her father. He was a cop, and 2 robbers shot him. She was 10 and had to go live with a farming couple. Lecter asks her if the victims of Buffalo Bill have been larger girls. She says yes, and tells him about the object in the throat. He asks if the object was a butterfly. Surprisingly, she says yes, it was a moth. He says that the significance of the moth is change, and that Bill is not a real transsexual, but he thinks he is. In another room, Dr. Chilton is secretly listening in and recording what they are saying. After Clarice leaves, Chilton comes in, and they strap Hannibal into a dolly with a mask over his mouth. Chilton says that he called the senator, and she doesn't know anything about a deal to send him anywhere, and that Crawford lied. They are sending him to a Tennessee facility, and Lecter says that he will only give more information to the senator herself when they arrive. Upon arrival, Lecter tells them the name of Buffalo Bill and gives a description. While being held in a cage, Clarice shows up and questions Lecter about the real name and description of Buffalo Bill. He tells her that Buffalo Bill covets, and that is very important. He covets something that he sees every day, or has seen every day. Clarice tells Lecter that she ran away from the farm because she heard the screaming of lambs as they were being slaughtered. She tried to save one, but it was too heavy, and it ended up being killed with the others. Lecter thanks her, and theorizes that Clarice wants to save Catherine because, in a way, it will silence the screaming of the lambs in her mind. He does not end up telling her Bill's real name, and she is ushered out by the police. Later, Lecter asks for extra rare lamb chops for dinner. He is handcuffed to the bars, and the meal is brought in. Unbeknownst to the guards, Lecter has managed to palm the clip to a pen and removes his handcuffs. He handcuffs one of the guards and attacks the second by biting his face. He proceeds to beat the handcuffed guard to death, and then takes a knife to the second one. In the lobby, the other cops hear gunshots and see the elevator coming down. They order a SWAT team and an ambulance, and they go up to check. They find one of the guards strung up like an angel and cut open, while the second one convulses on the floor with lacerations to his face. Lecter is nowhere to be found, and one of the cops' guns is missing. They grab the cop and take him down to the ambulance. They get the injured cop out safely, but find blood dripping from the top hatch of the elevator. Furthermore, they go up a few floors and find Hannibal laying face down on top of the elevator with the gun next to him. They shoot his leg, but there's no reaction. Down below, they open up the hatch and find something terrifying. In the ambulance, the cop's body moves, rises up, tears off the face, and we see it as Hannibal, who has cut the cop's face off and was wearing it as a disguise. Clarice is told about the escape, and she feels like the whole case is over and that Catherine will probably die. But she does soon go back to what Lecter said about coveting, and realizes that the girl that was weighed down in the water must be significant to Bill, and that he knew her. Clarice goes to visit the home. While there, she is allowed to see the girl's room, and through her investigation, Clarice realizes that Buffalo Bill really did know the girl, and sees by the cutting pattern in a dress that he is trying to sew a woman's suit out of real women so he can wear it. Crawford tells her not to worry because they found out who he is, and they are on their way to get him. Still compelled, Clarice goes to the neighbor's house. Crawford and his team bust into the house but find nothing. Just as the door opens to the neighbor's house, we see Clarice in front of Buffalo Bill. She walks in and asks some questions, and she spots a death head moth nearby. She draws her gun, but Bill slinks away down into the basement. Clarice follows with her gun drawn and finds Catherine. She tells her that she will be right back and continues to pursue Bill. As she does, the lights go out, and Bill uses his night vision goggles to see her. He reaches out to touch her, but is careful not to. He pulls up his gun, cocks the gun, and suddenly Clarice turns around and fires multiple times. One of the bullets smashes a window and lets some light in, where she can see that she has fatally wounded Bill. Catherine is saved, and Clarice graduates from the FBI Academy, and is congratulated by Crawford. She receives a phone call that turns out to be Dr. Lecter. He asks her if the lambs had stopped screaming. He also tells her that he won't come after her because the world is a better place with her in it, and that he would talk more, but he's having an old friend for dinner. The friend he speaks of is Dr. Chilton. In the end, we see Hannibal get up and follow the good doctor into a crowd. And with that, the movie ends. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. It will help my channel to grow and improve.